If you recall, the previous episode ended with Mindy and Casey breaking up, ending their engagement. So this episode was the aftermath. We've got an episode all about Mindy's struggle to get over the breakup and move on. I think we've all been there, right? Breakups suck, and it definitely feels like it's never going to get any better, at least in the beginning.
Well, 5 years later.
Welcome back to another episode of The Rank. I'm John.
My shirt.
And today we're going to be ranking the next episode of the Mindy Project. Now, if you're enjoying these episodes or if you're just a fan of the Mindy Project and enjoy consuming content about it, please subscribe and or follow, like the episodes, comment, email your questions and suggestions and hate mail, whatever. Please also consider becoming a patron on our Patreon page at patreon.com/TheRankPodcast, where you can get access to all of our archived episodes. Now, today we're ranking the 4th episode of the 2nd season of the Mindy Project called Magic Morgan, written by Tracy Wigfield and directed by Neil Brennan. And just so you know, spoilers ahead. Now, the whole goal of this is we're trying to figure out what is the best sitcom of all time. So I'm ranking every episode from selected sitcoms, and we average the episode rankings, figure out what is the best sitcom of all time. Let's dive into it here with the potent notables. So the 4th episode of the 2nd season aired Tuesday, October 8th, 2013. The Mindy Project seems to have hit its plateau as it stayed essentially the same this week as last week, garnering another 2.9 million viewers. Once again, it was the least watched show of Fox's Tuesday lineup, but it was closer this time as Dads, the 8 p.m. show, only got 3.1 million viewers, and Brooklyn Nine-Nine got 3.3, so it's all fairly close together. New Girl, Mindy's lead-in, still won the night for Fox anyway, with 4 million viewers. As for competition, the only shows that beat in its time slot were Supernatural on the CW, which had 2.6 million viewers, and I Dream of Nene, The Wedding on Bravo, which had 1.45 million viewers, whatever that is. Otherwise, it was beaten by The Voice on NBC, which had 10.2 million viewers, Trophy Wife on ABC, which had 4.8 million, and NCIS Los Angeles at 14.8 million. Also, the juggernaut NCIS won the night, as always, with 18.3 million. So this episode of the Mindy Project was basically the same plot as Dane Cook's movie Good Luck Chuck, which Mindy acknowledges in the episode. What I found out is that Ike Barinholtz, who plays Morgan, used to do an impressions of Dane Cook on Mad TV. Naturally, I decided to check it out. Now, I don't know how you all feel about Dane Cook or how much you all know about him, but I remember enjoying his stand-up act and was never into him enough to know what all the hullabaloo was about. But man, when I watched a clip of a Mad TV sketch with Ike being Dane, and basically the bit was just that Dane Cook is a terrible comedian and they all cheered when they got him to quit doing stand-up. I guess I just wasn't expecting such a mean sketch. Damn. Anyway, you can all look up Ike's impression. It was pretty decent. When asked how you can keep a moronic character from just being a moron, Ike responded, quote, "It's playing small moments real. He may have dumb moments, but if you play them with a little bit of humanity, a little bit of soul, if you show them getting embarrassed, it helps. We often pull from our real life and we pitch them for the show, and they end up on the show. There's an episode where everyone's doing a pull-up contest, and this really happened to me. I was working for the Obama campaign in 2008, and I went into a morning meeting at the campaign office, and there was a pull-up bar by the door. There were probably 15 people in the room, and I remember I walked up to the bar, and one of the guys said to me, 'That holds up to 220. At the time, I was a solid 210. I did a pull-up and instantly pulled the bar down, fell down to the ground, smashed the bar onto my leg, and as I hit the ground, I farted. I was so embarrassed that I got up and ran out of the room. So when I had Morgan do that same thing on the show, he was so embarrassed and so hurt that you can't help but have sympathy for this creature. I think that goes a long way. If you feel for the person, then that helps." End quote. I just thought that was funny. I wish I had found that for the episode where that happens, but I found it now, so you get it now. All right, those are the potent notables. Let's go to the episode overview. If you recall, the previous episode ended with Mindy and Casey breaking up, ending their engagement. So this episode was the aftermath. We've got an episode all about Mindy's struggle to get over the breakup and move on. I think we've all been there, right? Breakups suck, and it definitely feels like it's never going to get any better, at least in the beginning.
Well, 5 years later.
So we start off pretty relatable. Mindy is struggling to get to work after the breakup, and on a rainy day, naturally, and she trips over a box, like an Amazon box, at the stoop of her office, and finds that it's for a lawyer that works in the building. So she takes it up to him and opens it, by the way, because she wants to threaten him with a lawsuit. Now, the lawyer, his name is Cliff, was played by Glenn Howerton of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. This happens and you think, oh, are sparks gonna fly between these two, but they didn't go that route. Instead, he's just annoyed by her, if not a little amused, but this seems like nothing, but it will end up coming back later. So everyone at the office finds out about the breakup and feel bad for her, but Morgan insists on telling her that a seventh ex has broken up with him and ended up meeting her future husband. So Mindy dismisses this at first, but when Morgan shows up at her door later to console her, and she's had a lot of wine, she decides that hooking up with Morgan just might be the right move. Before it happens though, she starts to sober up and realize it's a bad idea, and Morgan is a little hurt. I should say that Morgan did try to resist her at first, but gave in when she started crying. So now this is when we get Cliff to re-enter the episode. Morgan has hired him to sue Mindy for sexual harassment, which quickly goes away when Morgan says he'll drop it if Mindy agrees to go on a nice dinner date with him, which she never really does agree to. Jeremy and Danny agree on her behalf. Now, during all this A story, the B story is the new doctor, Peter Prentice, who was introduced last episode, is working on fitting in with everyone. Danny is the one that has the biggest issue with him, especially after Peter purposely touches his penis. So that's not great. I think it's pretty reasonable that Danny is upset about this, and it leads to them firing him for about 2 seconds. But Jeremy decides to give him a second chance. Now, all throughout the episode, it is littered with jokes and quips and clever writing. Like when Morgan finds out that Casey and Mindy broke up, he exclaims, "Did he leave you for a white woman?" Glenn Howerton's sarcasm is great. Peter Prentice's broiness. It all worked really well. Eventually, Mindy and Morgan go on their date, and naturally Mindy ends up enjoying herself. And Danny is able to see Peter's value, and Peter's not afraid to do the stuff that they don't want to, which is apparently tub births. I don't know why a water birth is something that they don't want to do, but whatever. Either way, we end the episode with Mindy and Cliff clearly being into each other, setting up a new boyfriend for Mindy. So let's head to the rank.
A rank.
The rank is where I rank the episode based on 5 categories: story, acting, dialogue, episode coherence, and character relatability. I rank it on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the worst and 5 being the best. And then we have a laugh counter. I tally up the amount of times the episode made me laugh out loud, and that gets added to the score. The first category is story, which I gave a 4.25. Now, I thought this was a really good story and a relatable one. The story is pretty simple, too, getting over a breakup. So there's a bunch of silly story stuff in the middle here, like Mindy considering sleeping with Morgan because she hopes it will lead to meeting someone, and Morgan suing her for sexual harassment. So it's not a 5 because of the silliness, but it's still quite good. So let's go to acting, which I gave a 4.25. I thought everyone was excellent in this. I mean, there are still moments where it's not great. Mindy didn't do a great job with crying, and Ike Barinholtz obviously wasn't perfect with being earnest, but it was really good. Adam Pally clearly seems like he's going to be a great addition to the cast also. So dialogue, I gave a 5. Witty and fun and filled with jokes and laughter. I mean, this was the type of writing that we saw a lot in the first half of the first season. I loved it. I'm hoping it continues. So let's go to episode coherence, which I gave a 3.75. So the episode coherence was great as far as the characters were concerned, and ultimately was fine as far as story goes, but it did jump around a bit. Cliff, the lawyer played by Glenn Howerton, being involved was great, but getting him involved was pretty flimsy. Not terrible. It's a sitcom. They don't have a lot of time to get these in, so I get it. Also, Pete's involvement in everything to do with Mindy's love life seems a little earlier, even for Mindy, but again, not terrible. All in all, it was really good coherence. So let's go to character relatability, which I gave a 4. It's not higher simply because Peter Prentice is ridiculous. He's a little hard to relate to in a similar way to how Morgan was hard to relate to when they first introduced him. He just feels very caricature-y, but I'm sure with time he'll become a more rounded character and be easier to relate to. Everyone else was pretty relatable, especially me. So that gets us to the laugh counter, and this episode got me 25 times. which is a good sign for an episode. You get me that many times, you're gonna, so if it was just the laugh counter, it would be in the mediocre category, just that. So that puts the grand total of the episode up to a 46.25. Puts it right into the meaning of life tier, which is the highest tier. Now, as for the series average, this bumped it into the next tier, increasing it from a 34.7 to a 35.1, which puts it into the Holy Grail tier. So nice job, Magic Morgan. So thanks for listening and or watching, everybody. If you'd like to see a list of our episode and series rankings, you can do that on our website at therankwithjohnandzach.com. Remember to subscribe, review, and comment, and send suggestions. Please consider supporting us on our Patreon site at patreon.com/therankedpodcast, where you can get access to all the archived episodes. I'll leave you with this. What did Morgan originally say when Mindy and Cliff got off the elevator together? Good luck! Is good luck, Chuck?
That joke was funnier in theory.
Okay. Maybe I can't remember now. I can't remember my own fucking rankings. Hold on.
That's okay. Take your time.